Kathleen Kennedy introduces a screening of a 1977 print of Star Wars. Here it is from the Hollywood Reporter here. Looks terrible in screening of long lost original 1977 version. I have questions, and I will show you. There is video of her introduction of the screening. My quick question is, why was she introducing this movie? She had nothing. She had nothing to do with making it.
She was validating the screening to show that it wasn't a bootleg screening or that it was an endorsed screening.
Right. That was the reason. But I do have notes for this story?
Yeah.
If you would.
Feels icky. Feels like you got into your parents' home videos and were watching them without permission.
Right.
Is that what it said?
A nearly pristine original 1977 print of Star Wars was unearthed and screened for the first time in decades, offering diehard fans and cinephiles a rare look at George Lucas's unaltered vision before decades of edits and special editions. Held by the British Film Institute and introduced by Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, the event showcased a version of the film that Lucas has long refused to screen publicly, preserving it in cold storage for nearly 50 years. Despite its aged visuals and outdated effects, attendees found the experience revelatory. Critics noted that the film's raw, handmade charm, from visibly cobbled together sets to clunky robot slapstick, which gave it a tangible, almost theatrical appeal that many felt made it more authentic and emotionally resonant than the polished revisions. Reviewers described the screening as feeling like watching the film for the first time, with surprising appreciation for the subtle changes Lucas made over the years, from cleaned up voice work to added background detail. Ironically, the original flaws threw Lucas's controversial edits into a new light, with fans admitting that not all of his changes were misguided. Still, the screening's loudest cheers came when Han Solo shot Greedo first, restoring a moment many fans believe defined the character. Lucas, who famously dismissed the original cut as an unfinished version he never wanted released, once claimed it doesn't really exist anymore, but for one night, thanks to BFI and a very cold film vault, it did, and reminded audiences of the gritty, imaginative spirit that launched a galaxy of fandom. He's since been quoted many times saying, "I'm sorry you fell in love with a movie that was half finished," as far as him editing it.
Yeah. I do have video of Kathleen Kennedy talking about it. If you'd like to see really quick, we can watch some. Here it is from the actual screening.
Within Lucasfilm now.
Oh, it's incredible folklore. I have to say that even when I came into the company, there was endless conversation about where everything was and what was, in fact, the first print. And it's quite remarkable. What you're going to see is, in fact, the first print. And I'm not even sure there's another one quite like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that rare. There's so much tinkering that's gone on over the years and things that George decided, I'm going to change this, I'm going to try that, and then everybody kind of lost track of what it was. Although I understand, Edgar, are you in here?
Is that Edgar Wright?
Because your brother is in here, and I understand you may know far more than I do.
I don't want to intro the film.
Listen, I feel we could get more value out of this room tonight, but we don't have time. We have to screen it again after this. That just adds to the special nature of this evening.
It is. It's quite remarkable to be able to experience this exactly the way it was in 1977. This is really special. Really special.
And in terms of the film itself, I mean, the universe of Star Wars now has become so expanded, and I do want to say Andor has been fantastic.
Is he done?
Such a fan of Andor, and sort of thinking about how the world has expanded now. I also wondered within, as you bring filmmakers into Lucasfilm to think about making films that add to the Star Wars universe, does the film, not the print, but the film itself, does it exist as the sort of the stone tablet? Do filmmakers go back to it?
No, I would say that this is the film that everyone starts with. When we start talking about story, we start talking about George's intent. what it is we're trying to build off of. It is the gold standard. There's no question.
And I mean, we'll definitely really experience. I watched about 5 minutes of this print when we were researching for it, and it is interesting how far back in time it takes you, and you really experience the joy of the sets and the practical effects, where you can, you can enjoyably see the edges of some of them as well. Enjoyably experience the edges. It revolutionized filmmaking at the time. It revolutionized effects. I wondered what excited you now about the future of cinema and the future of...
Well, I think what George created with ILM, and we did a really wonderful documentary, if you haven't been able to see it, in 6-part series on the beginning of ILM. And it really does capture what was so unique about George's vision with where cinema could go. And that's something that we try to carry on in every single thing we do.
Oh, you fucking liar.
We're only halfway
Fucking
through.
liar.
I'm sorry.
We're
you guys
only
stop,
halfway
please.
through
What
this intro.
happened?
She's such a
This
liar.
is-
They do not think of George's intention. Sorry,
Not
go ahead,
at
Steph.
all.
Kill.
Not at
Go.
all. Not
In
at all.
Minecraft.
It's infuriating because she's talking about how George's vision and this movie, and we had to preserve it. And now we're presenting it to you without all of these changes. And it's so special, considering all of the damage that this woman has done to Star Wars and all of the decisions that they made after getting all of the rights signed to them from George Lucas. It's just it's wild to me how she's talking about this as it's something that is so incredibly special to her and needs to be preserved. Get the fuck out of here, Kathleen Kennedy. I don't believe a word that comes out of this woman's mouth.
She's a diplomat. She
It's
sounds
full
like a
on Harry
politician.
Potter. How dare you? How dare you stand where he stood? Like, ugh.
Yeah. Should we watch more of this or
Please.
a little bit more?
It's a constant
Super chat him to
conversation.
stop.
Innovation is something that we know keeps pushing cinema forward. And it's all based on the past.
It seems like just an executive. I mean, I just got
That's what
done
she
watching.
is.
I just got done watching The Studio on Apple TV. I'm going to talk about it this week. It's really good with Seth Rogen. I know. I'm sorry, but it's such. You see the BS. You see the BS. It's just. Again, like you, Steph, I don't believe her. I think she came in, especially what they did to George, what she did to George, betraying him. Mm-hmm. George thought, hey, you're going to make these Star Wars movies. I trust you. Here's my outlines, my scripts for what should happen.
Do you guys understand why George Lucas hated the Hollywood system and he hated Hollywood in general? Because of this shit. You know, he doesn't like it. He's a creative, you know. He's out of the mud. He got his shit out of the mud. He did not, you know, inherit somebody's franchise that was already pre-built. No, George built it up from the ground up. Okay, so you're seeing the reason why he doesn't like Hollywood. These executives, they're only concerned about the money. How much money how much can I make off of this? All right, how many times can I spin this off? How many different ways can I milk this IP, you know, down to the bones? And now it's ruined. It's absolutely ruined because you don't have a creative at the helm. Star Wars and Lucasfilm were birthed by a creative, an actual creative, you know, and he wanted it to stay independent for this reason. And this, you're seeing the results of what happens when the executives. Kathleen Kennedy probably is a fine producer. I'm not going to take anything away from her producing talents, but she's not a creative. She doesn't create things. She just helps directors and artists, you know, achieve their visions, but she doesn't create it herself. You know, she stood on the shoulders of, you know, Spielberg and her husband and various other folks, and that's how she got where she got. You know, but, you know, you need a creative at the helm of Lucasfilm because it was a creative that started Lucasfilm. I don't think you can head it up with just some random Hollywood executive to be the head of the studio. I don't think that's going to work.
Dave Filoni will do it. He'll show
Yeah,
up.
Dave Filoni.
What was really
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Well, what was depressing about this was to hear people talk about Star Wars like if it was cobbled together back in the olden times. Whereas what they saw, I don't think people understand necessarily what a Technicolor print is. Technicolor is a dye process, and Technicolor was a company that was actually founded in 1915. So when you're seeing it, there's only, I think, 4 Technicolor prints of Star Wars. I only knew of 3 up until this. I don't know if this is the third, but there were 4 Technicolor prints of Star Wars that survive. Why a Technicolor print is significant? One, it hasn't been run, but Technicolor prints don't fade, because like you make a movie on celluloid, they turn pink. Technicolor is a dye process where you basically take black and white film or black and white celluloid and you dye it. So the colors don't fade ever. And seeing something like this would have been spectacular, but everybody talking about it, like these bloggers talking about it, like, oh, you can see how it's cobbled together. I mean, this is Star Wars that existed from 77 to 97 until the special edition came out. It's not like they changed everything.
It's just cardboard with lights on it.
I mean, that's the most ridiculous stuff. And remember, people forget when Star Wars was originally released, there were different versions of it. For instance, there was a mono version of Star Wars that wasn't in stereo. So there was, the soundtracks were different. There was some sound effects you actually didn't hear on the mono versions that were in the, because Dolby Stereo was a new thing back then. So there was the 35 version, there was the 70 millimeter version, there was the mono version. So Star Wars has had different iterations, and sometimes they've been preserved in home video, but this is the way Star Wars looked for 20 years. So to see this, it would have been pretty spectacular, but it was the Star Wars we all grew up with. The special edition added things and, you know, changed things and removed things. So they made it sound like this is some weird cobbled. This is Star Wars. This was probably the purest Star Wars you could have ever seen. And it, you know, it's too bad that they don't take this and do a I would have done an 8K transfer of this print.
And Rob, you mentioned the Unearthed Technicolor print. I here have, I'll show you some video from a little mini documentary from the archives at BFI. This is looking at the print. I'll play some of this.
To have seen this
print
play it
in
in
silent to look at it
was
like
really transporting.
It's a film that changed popular culture. It's omnipresent in our lives, and you can see this was the very same object that did have that enormous impact on people of all generations.
Looking at it, I'm just gonna mute the audio. We can see this, but you can see like the care that went into this. And you're right. I remember I saw Star Wars 7 times over the summer it came out. And there were only, I believe it only opened in 10 theaters. They were making changes after those first 10 prints were sent out.
Yeah.
There were audio changes with the tractor beam. There was a close-up that said the words tractor beam. He changed that to Arabesh. You remember that, Rob?
But that was later though.
So like I'm saying, as you've said, there have been so many minute changes made to it as it's gone. To see the very first one that went out when we all saw it that summer, well, people like you and
now it's interesting. They just showed a clip that said episode 4.
I know that wasn't there.
That wasn't there in the original. So I'm now curious as to know, was there episode 4 in the version they screened? Because if so, then that's
they
a
said
later.
There wasn't. They said it just said Star Wars.
That?
Yeah,
I don't remember episode 4 appearing in the first run of.
It didn't appear until Empire.
Yeah,
it was when he realized,
1980.
oh shit, I have to make the other ones. I need to now recontextualize that I took the best parts out of the third one, and yeah.
Well, I mean, the first
started getting subtitles.
Star Wars had to be successful in order for him to do that, and thank God he did. Yeah. But I turned 60 in 2 years. Let's get one of these prints and show it for my birthday.
There was one up in Seattle.
Well, I mean, what's going to happen in 2027? It'll be the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. There will be Star Wars Celebration will be here in Los Angeles. So
if it's still there.
Yeah, but what print will they show?
Well, all I'm saying is I only care about one guest at Celebration, and that's George Lucas.
Yeah.
That should be, and it'll probably be when they announce they're going to remake Star Wars. Look, they remade Star Trek with a new cast, a new Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. They're remaking Harry Potter with a new Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They're gonna remake Star Wars. I didn't believe it, But the more I've seen what Disney has done, it's their last move.
You're fulfilling prophecy, Chris. This is what Gary used to say all the time, that you'll know it's truly over when they remake it. But if they say that no other canon from Disney counts, and they go right back to George's expanded universe and they start with the original movies, they may save it. Maybe. Probably not, though.
Yeah. I'm convinced they'll probably do it. What do you guys think?
They've killed everything else. Why not this?
Yeah, if you're still holding on to hope for Star Wars, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm not holding out hope. I'm saying we're watching the end, right?
Yeah. But the end was a while ago, right? I mean, I thought the end was the Acolyte. Like that was like the end.
Yeah.
I think the end was Force Awakens.
For Marvel, it was bringing Robert Downey
still...
Jr. back, right? And for Star Wars, it was redoing the original movies.
Well, this is on par. Disney made the live actions to replace all of Walt's classics. Now it's time to replace Lucas's classics.
Yeah.
Let's
They're
reboot
going to
Indiana
remake
Jones too while we're at it.
I mean, they might.
Yeah, they just need a new regime. They need to get whoever's running Lucasfilm. Everybody needs to be just gone. They've done a terrible job handling one of the biggest franchises on the planet, if not the biggest. And
just because you all asked for it.
But we're constantly we can reinvent the future. So
but still feel
all right. I can't take it.
Well, I heard rumor that she's retiring soon. So
really?
Yeah, I heard the same rumor.
Yeah, there's
I heard
rumors
she's
that
waiting to
Kathleen's gonna
retire.
quit.
Looking
she's going to retire on a victory, and I've heard that Andor has amazing critical acclaim. So let's just call that a victory, and she can retire.
That's honestly, that's the best win she's going to get. Andor was the win she needed. That's it.
Go back to her crypt and wait until she needs to ruin something else from George's.
Well, her husband made 2 great documentaries. She can go out on those.